All your brightness is all kind of where you want it?
It's low there. I'd like to have a little bit of lighting there, maybe
Perfect.
a bit on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Comfortable. There's 32,000 for play level 330. 320 for 330 coming up. I'm going to switch this one over to inches, and that should be on standard as well, just to match. There we go, we got FMC speed and VNAV path, saying that we're leveling out at flight level 330, and ATC gave us that speed assignment when we were level at 330. They wanted us to speed up to 270 knots. We just actually intervene with that. Actually, speeds. This should be the one. There we go. So let's change that over to actual indicated airspeed and bump that physically up. They want us doing 270, so we'll do 270.
All right.
And we should get some more power for that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, you can go into your N1 limit page.
N1 limits.
And activate continuous thrust for just to give us a little bit of a boost there, if you like.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's a big boost.
Excellent. All right. See, we've got the within the engine parameters. We can do that for continuously for at least 5-10 minutes. There's no restriction on that.
Okay. Okay. So overheats.
I got a case of master caution, master warning, engine fire on number 2. Go ahead and cancel your master caution, master warning.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to execute an engine fire drill.
All right.
And with that note, first thing we're going to do is disengage your auto throttle.
Okay.
Right here, 2 clicks in the warning. I'm going to get you to confirm number 2 thrust lever.
Yeah, that's confirmed, so go ahead, bring it back.
Okay, we're going to bring that to closed position. As we bring this back, we're going to introduce some asymmetric thrust with the aircraft now.
All right.
And you're going to have to get your feet on the rudder and counteract that movement. All right?
Okay.
If you could confirm number 2 engine start lever.
Number 2 confirmed, so cut off.
Down to, here it comes now. We're going to shut down that number 2 engine. We've got a master caution and electric. That's associated. Go ahead and cancel that. Confirm number 2 engine fire switch.
Right. Confirmed. Let's pull.
Okay, we're going to pull this. And since the engine fire switch and engine overheat light are illuminated, I'm going to discharge the left bottle by rotating this to the left for 1 second and holding it. I'm going to start a timer now for 30 seconds and let the extinguisher bottle do its magic. I'm going to get on the radio and do a mayday while I've got that, while we're waiting for that to happen. Alright, so it's mayday, 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 Edmonton Center, it's altitude, flight sim, we've got an engine fire in progress, stand by. Okay, so that's done here now. I see 30 seconds is up, the fire is out. We're going to go to immediately to the drift down drill. Okay? If I could get you to punch in the FMC N1 limit page and select continuous thrust.
Continuous again.
Okay, and we'll confirm that here on the engine display. All right, maybe a little bit of light on the situation here from your inboard for the checklist. That'd be great. Just a little bit of light, not too much. So we're gonna use the thrust lever on the operating engine and manually set now that continuous thrust settings.
99.8 there?
Absolutely, 99.8. Line that up with the green marker.
There we go.
And continuing on to the FMC cruise page now. Press
Cruise
that
page.
FMC cruise page. This says select the engine out prompt. At the engine out prompt, select the left or right engine out. We've got a right engine out. Go ahead and select the right engine out prompt. That brings us to the IAS Mach. So we're going to set our target speed. What do they want us to do here? Can you see?
252.
252. So go ahead and set 252 knots on the IAS Mach selector on the MCP. Then we're going to look for our altitude. We're going to set max altitude. What are we showing?
239.
239. So we're just shy of 240. So we're going the odd direction west. So we're going to round that down to 220. If you go ahead and set flight level 220 in the altitude selector. And as you can see, we've already kind of slowed through our engine out speed, so go ahead and select level change now and we'll get headed down, and then manually correct that as the
Okay.
yeah,
So
back to 252. That's what we want. That's what they suggest, so that's what we want. So here we are at the target airspeed. They say select level change. We're going to turn landing lights on, all four of those landing lights on. And do you want to get on the radio and advise ATC that we've left flight level 330 for 220 now?
Alright, so be advised, we've left flight level 330. We're headed down to 220 as part of our drift down.
Perfect. And we're going to continue on with the engine fire checklist now. So isolation valve, close. Up here, and get you reach over isolation valve to close. Pack switch on the affected side to off. So affected side is the number 2 engine, number 2 pack switch to off. APU bleed switch, ensure that that's off. That's selected off. The APU, go ahead and start that up now.
Let's start the APU.
Absolutely. Couple Mississippis.
3.
Okay, perfect. So that's going to take about a minute to fire up before we can start using that. What's the next part of the checklist here? So we're holding at the APU gen switch. It suggests us to balance the fuel if required. Well, we're burning fuel out of the center tank, so that's not required. It says transponder to TA only.
TA only.
That's going to eliminate the resolution advisories that we won't be able to make any climb gradients for, if you can understand that, since we're limited now with our performance. We've lost the engine, one of our engines. So it says here, if the engine fire is out, we can return the isolation valve to auto. So the engine is contained, the fire is out, you can return this isolation valve to auto. And how are we doing here now? Got a good drift down. We need a plan. Where are we going to go? It's looking like Calgary's actually just behind us and off to the left.
All right.
I'm going to get on the radio and I'm going to say Edmonton Center. It says altitude flight sim. The declaring an emergency. We'd like immediate vectors to Calgary. We'd like to report we've got 169 souls on board, 18,000 kilos of fuel, no dangerous goods to report. Okay, we're going to simulate, we've got clearance to Calgary. If you go to your legs page and simply overwrite the flight plan and type in Charlie Yankee Yankee Charlie, get us pointed in that direction. That'll help things out a little bit.
Charlie, and right there.
Put it over top. Go ahead and execute that. And that's going to get us a left-hand turn. We're going to start going towards Calgary. And now that the APU is all fired up, we can continue with the, it says APU gen switch on the affected side on. So that's a number 2 gen switch affected. Now we're getting electrical power from the APU to power the number 2 gen, number 2 bus, and the engine fire checklist is complete. We're going to switch over to our diversion guidance. So diversion guidance basically says, if you go to the menu key and press the FMC, alternate destinations, and the nearest airports, that's going to tell us, just for example, put in CYEG. Just to see how close Edmonton is. Yep, put that in there, and then type in Calgary now, CYYC. There we go.
Oh yeah, so
okay, so perfect. Yeah, so that's definitely the right place to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to tune up the Calgary's ATIS and find out what runways they're landing. So we'll assume that we've got Calgary's ATIS and the wind's favoring runway the 35. So if we land on runway 35 left, that's going to get us our best position close to the terminal.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll plan for that. How many miles now? If you hit your progress page, just for sort of a quick plan, if we've got 60 miles to go to Calgary and 30,000 feet to lose, we're going to have to expedite our descent. So you can manually control that now just by reducing the thrust.
Okay.
I'll center your heading bug, keep it straight ahead. And there's your, we call that the green banana bar. That gives you a rough indication of when we're going to be down at flight level 220. All right, so we'd have to simulate Edmonton Center would give us a clearance lower. So let's assume they give us 6,500 feet. You go ahead and set 6,500 feet in there. Now your banana bar is moving because you're asking it, where am I going to be when I'm at 6,500 feet?
Okay.
So now you're going to need less thrust to get down there.
So let's go auto.
And see where that ends up. We've always got speed brake. Once the thrust stabilizes, we've always got speed brake to help us out. So back into the diversion checklist. We've retained the ATIS, the weather, and the landing distance available. Well, we know Calgary's got a quite a long runway. We're looking at 12,675 feet of good runway. Good pavement to land there. It's a good place to land. Good emergency services. So we'd simulate going over to company here on radio number 2, COM 2. I'm going to dial up company on 30.9, and I'm going to say... yeah, Calgary Ops, this altitude, flight sim, we've got an emergency in progress. We've had an engine fire in the number 1 engine. We've shut it down. We've contained it now. We've declared an emergency with center, and we're headed for Calgary. If you could advise dispatch and maintenance for us, organize a gate for us upon our arrival, that'd be fantastic, and we'll keep you advised. Sounds really good. Okay, so then air traffic control. We've already completed the declaration of an emergency. I let them know how many souls, our fuel, and dangerous goods. Obviously, they want to know that information in the event of unsuccessful landing. How big of a ball of fire are we going to be with the amount of fuel we've got on board?
Okay.
And any other dangerous goods that would be explosive on top of that.
Should I deploy the speed brake?
You should, actually, yep. Very nice. Very nice maneuver. There you go. Now your banana bar is coming in. And we can always ask for a little vector farther out if we need more room. More room, right? So we're going to get to Calgary at about 0122, and the clock's showing 0117. So that's 5 minutes. So why don't we ask Calgary for some vectors? Okay?
Okay.
So I'll say, yeah, Edmonton Center, it's altitude flight sim. We're still a little high. We got some altitude to lose. We're looking for some vectors to buy us a few more minutes time. Okay, yeah, no problem, guys. So they're going to say, go ahead and fly heading of 120 right now. So you're going to switch to your heading select and crank it over to heading of 120. That should buy us a little bit of time.
Okay.
All right, where are we here now? We've advised ATC, we gave them our intentions, and we've got a clearance to our diversion airport. So let's get in the FMC here. Let's go to the route button.
Routes.
Okay, and let's make that say Calgary, because our new destination is Calgary. So let's go Charlie, Yankee, Yankee, Charlie. Go ahead and execute that. When we get to Calgary, what are we going to do? We want departures and arrivals. We want to choose Calgary arrivals. We want to find runway 35 left. They're landing on runway 35 left, so just scroll through the many pages of approaches, and you'll find on page 4 of 6, ILS 35 left. ILS 35, no arrival. Go ahead and execute that. All right, so now on the legs page, we want to draw ourselves a nice straight line on the legs page. So Gable is the first intermediate fix on the approach, so go ahead and grab that in your scratch pad, bump that up to the top, and actually physically put in the intercept course straight in the extended runway center line of 346.
6.
Yeah, exactly. So put that on your intercept course, go ahead and execute that, and you can see it's going to draw us a nice purple line. That's all we got to do is focus on that straight ahead, intercept that line for the landing runway 35 left. Okay, so our FMC is all programmed and set up here. Now I'm sure the flight attendants, they've got to be curious as to what's going on. I'm sure they could feel some things going on back there. Would you like the honors, or would you like me to make the announcement?
Sure, I'll try this one.
Okay. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to call them up with the attendant button. Perfect. Okay, so they're going to call you up, and your cabin light's going to go illuminated. To answer that, you're going to press your cabin button. Now you're live, linked communication with them on the phone.
Okay.
And basically, you're just going to advise them what's going on and what our plan is.
Okay, so we've had an issue with the number 2 engine. We're diverting to Calgary. We're going to be landing in 20 minutes. Expect a normal landing, and I will advise the passengers.
Very good. Okay, so they jump into action. They've got drills and procedures that they're going to go through. Now, so officially, you're going to want to let the flight attendants know, or sorry, the passengers know with a passenger announcement briefing.
Okay.
So you're pretty much going to do the same thing. You're going to go on the PA system here, and when you key the mic on the control column, you'll be live on the overhead speakers with the passengers, and you'll just give them the spiel.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We've had a technical issue with the aircraft, and we are diverting to Calgary at this time. We're going to be landing in 20 minutes. Please keep your seatbelts fastened and follow your flight attendant's instructions. Thank you very much.
Very good. Now, if you just get back onto VHF 1, so we're back here talking to air traffic control. All we've pretty much got left is a descent checklist. So we'll continue with that. So descent checklist, we're going to check the pressurization, land alt. So now we've changed the destination, so the elevation has changed at the destination. It's not 1,400 feet like Kelowna anymore. We want to set that to Calgary's elevation of 3,550 feet.
3,550.
Very nice. Recall. So go ahead and press one of the recalls here, and that illuminates master caution with the electrical panel, and that's associated with the drive light because the engine is shut down.
Okay.
So we'll cancel that. If you can select an auto brake setting for when we land in Calgary. That's
let's go with maximum.
Yeah. There you go. And now, because we've bought ourselves a little more time, you can stow your speed brakes and just kind of take note of where the predictive descent bar ends up. So maybe we need go out just a little bit farther yet here. So let's simulate that traffic control gives us fly heading 150 for a little bit. There you go. Okay, that buys us a little bit more time. I'm going to check the prog page. That shows we're 30 miles away, so we're doing good. I think we can pull this off. All right, so with the auto brake, you selected max. That's a wise choice considering we're in an emergency situation. And we're going to plan to stop on the runway and have the safety vehicles, basically the fire emergency crash rescue equipment, inspect the aircraft, specifically the number 2 engine actually off the right-hand side, and they'll just make sure that the fire is completely out and advise us of anything unusual. There we go. So auto brake is set. You've chosen that. So a V reference. So if in the init reference page, it's going to ask you to select the flap setting. And Boeing actually recommends landing with a single engine using flaps 15. So if you go ahead and double select flaps 15, that's going to put your reference speed on primary flight display there.
165.
And the reason that Boeing recommends landing with flaps 15 with an engine, landing with a single engine, is that in the event of a go-around, you have less drag fighting you with, say, 30 or 40 degrees of flaps.
Okay.
We can easily, so in the event we do go around from flaps 15 setting, I'm going to initially raise the flaps from 15 to flaps 1 if we were to go around in a single engine situation such as this today. Okay. So we got a VREF set and the approach preparation. So what we need to do is we need to prep the ILS for runway 35 left. So we've got a frequency of 111.5. I'll set mine down here on nav2 by putting it in the standby, transferring it over to the active. So we've got a pair of 111.5s. Our inbound course of 346, we're going to both want to set that up in our course selectors on the MCP panel. Then the final piece of the puzzle is a minimums. So if we look at the ILS for runway 35 left, it's going to show the ILS DME Cat 1 minimums of 3742. So as we're setting 3740, well, see there we've gone through standard. So let's go ahead and get back over to altimeter setting.
Okay.
As well as here.
This one too.
Yeah. So air traffic control is. Yep, that's correct.
I see.
Yeah. So hectopascals. There's inches. Calgary advised us there's altimeter setting of 2991 inches. As we're setting our barometric setting of 3742. ATC is going to give us vectors, and they're going to say, hey guys, can I get you to turn left now heading of 070. While you're setting that, I'm going to crank the airplane over to a heading of 070. There we go. And things kind of speeding up now, happening pretty fast. There we go. I've got 3742 set on the barometric altimeter. I'm going to continue with the checklist here. I'm going to call that the approach preparation is complete and the descent checklist is complete. Let's go into the approach checklist. So fasten belts, we want to make sure that the fasten belts are on.
Okay.
We've been cleared for the approach, we'll assume, so we're going to turn the runway lights on. ATC says you guys are cleared direct gable now. So if you go ahead into your legs page, select gable on the top, reselect it, execute it. We're going to get drawn a straight line direct to gable if you select LNAV mode. And now that we're cleared the approach, you can actually arm the approach. Very good. Very good. Okay, so the approach checklist says fasten seat belts. Those are on. The landing lights, those are selected on. The landing data, that's all been programmed. That's all been set. We got the altimeters are 2991 inches, so the approach checklist is complete. All we've got is a landing checklist once we're configured and ready to go. The prog page says we're 27 miles to go, so we're really sitting in pretty good hands now. You feeling good?
Yeah, the light to this, right? Is the approach light supposed to turn on?
What? Let's go back to heading.
And select?
Yep, exactly.
And turn it
Yep,
over to
yep,
gable?
yep, that's fine. Yep.
Okay.
And just rearm the approach. There you go.
There we go.
There you go. That's always a quick fix if it's not doing what you want it to do. Absolutely. So we're sitting good, 250 knots, 25 miles away. The only thing we got to do is slow down, configure, drop the flaps, put the airplane on the ground safely.
All right.
We'll complete the remainder of the diversion checklist when we're a little bit closer.
I'm just going to give us a little bit of power.
And keep in mind that yes, you are controlling the throttles manually, and actually you can start slowing the aircraft down. So I'll just bring your speed down to what you're doing there now and call it even at 220 speed. Yeah, 220 flaps up, configure speed. And that's perfect. Okay, so let's see if we can find us where we are on the map here. See if we can get this moving map display to work here. I've got the approach set up. So keep in mind there'd be a little bit of an approach briefing. Mm-hmm. In the event of a missed approach, we would climb to 4,100 feet, straight out on the heading of 345, then a climbing left turn up to 7,000 feet on the heading of 315, and we'll intercept the 297 degree radial from the CYYC VOR to REXAB. So keep in mind the missed approach altitude will be 7,000 when we're ready to set that.
Okay.
All right. So go ahead and drop a flap out.
All right, so let's go flaps
Sure.
one.
Let's just go flaps 1. And then at your leisure, you can slow the flaps setting down to flaps 1.
So that's 199.
Absolutely. And I'll switch over to Calgary Tower, West Tower on 18.4. Perfect. So 2 things to keep in mind is that the airplane does a great job with the autopilot engaged, but you are manually controlling the throttles all the way to the end, and you're manually trimming the rudder, keeping the aircraft coordinated all the way to ground. And that's going to change continuously as we configure and slow the aircraft down more and more and more.
Okay.
Keep that in mind at all times. Yeah. I would give it just a little bit more juice on that power setting there. Okay. Very good. So I'm over this tower now. I'd say Calgary Tower. It's Altitude Flight Sim. We're with you here now, cleared for the ILS 35 left. We do intend to stop on the runway and have the fire rescue inspect the number 2 engine. Perfect. So they're aware now. We plan on landing and coming to a full stop. So this is very good. The VOR, so the localizer's arm, the glide slopes arms, will be coming on to final very shortly. Auto throttle's arms. Auto throttle is still disengaged. Your approach is on. There you go. So we've just captured the localizer in single channel. We have yet to capture the glide slope, but the glide slope is alive. So let's go with the flaps 5 setting. That'll help things out a little bit. Okay. And manually slow to your flaps 5 speed. Very nice. And always center your heading bug if you can. Try to keep it right in front of you in case you ever have to resort to that heading.
Okay.
And now you see the glide slope is coming in quite nicely, and 1 dot above is a really great time to actually drop the landing gear. So as we see glide slope now, let's go gear down.
So gear down.
Absolutely. Flaps 15 to your final flap setting.
Flaps 15.
And just advise the flight attendants with the call button, and that's their signal to prepare for the landing.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're controlling the speed bug and manually controlling the throttle. You're coordinating the aircraft, trimming out the rudder manually with your feet. You can use the autopilot as long as you want. I'm going to continue with the landing checklist. So, landing checklist calls for landing gear down, 3 green, cabin, alerted, speed brake. We're going to bring this just to the arm position. So the arm light goes on, making sure our speed brakes, they're not extended, only arm. We've got flaps 15 indicated, green light, and our VREF of 165 is the VREF, plus an extra 5 knots. You want to call it 170, just for good measure.
Okay.
We call that landing checklist complete. I'm going to stow this away. And Calgary Tower is now clearing us to land runway 35 left. I'm going to put our taxi light on for us. Okay. That's our final cue as pilots. Remember that we do have the landing clearance. Runway is straight ahead, 12 o'clock. You're on speed, you're on profile, both laterally and vertical. With the glide slope arm, I'm now going to set that missed approach altitude to 7,000 feet.
Okay. Okay.
You get through 1,500 feet on the radar, you'll get the amber flashing. That's a systems check standard.
Okay. Is that my cue to do anything, or just
nothing?
So I know
Not at all. Absolutely. Everything's functioning perfectly as it should be.
Okay.
So keep in mind we are coming in a little faster than usual with the flaps 15 landing configuration. So a VREF speed of 170 knots is quite high, but we do have 12,000 feet of runway.
That's good. That's good.
That's very good.
I'm gonna need it.
Yeah. So keep in mind, try not to float. Doesn't have to look pretty. The objective is just
get it safely
on the ground.
Okay. Just waiting for that minimum call.
There we go.
And I'll fly it manually.
Okay, excellent.
400.
Keep in mind, roughly 30 to 50 feet above the runway, you can start reducing the throttle to idle.
Okay.
Approaching minimums.
There we go.
Stable. Auto throttle's coming off. And we are going to have some asymmetric yaw
Okay.
with reverse thruster with no reverse thruster on the number 2 engine.
Okay.
Very nice, very
40,
nice. Looking good.
30, 20, 10.
Beautiful. There we go.
Alright.
Alright.
Thrust reversers on.
Speed brakes up.
Speed brakes up.
No reverse on number 2 engine.
Okay.
And our auto braking has disarmed.
Right, and you touch the brakes.
That's okay, so you're on manual braking. Coming through 60 knots now. Stow your reverse thruster on the good engine. And bring the aircraft to a stop. That's it.
Okay.
I'll switch. Tower will advise us. Altitude flight sim, red one's standing by over on 127.15 for you. I'll switch over and I'll talk to the emergency vehicles and I'll say, red one, this altitude flight sim, we had an engine fire in the number 2 engine. We've shut it down and contained the fire. Can we get a status report, please? Okay, so red one comes back and they say that everything looks good, the engine's fine, and we're clear to, there's no debris, we're clear to taxi to the gate at our discretion. And that's how you execute an emergency landing, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Very good job.
Thank you.